I have no idea what this place is. Good morning. I'm back at a spot where I walked through last week. I'm at the first lay-by free parking spot, whatever you want to call it, as you head up towards Holmes Moss. And this is the spot that I got to when I followed the path, the trail that goes from the waterfall down there. I found the path, didn't know where it went, it's not marked on the map, so I followed it. I guessed that it probably led here, and it did. And then what I did is that I ended up just walking up the road to get back to my car. But while I was walking up the road, I saw a couple of things which grabbed my attention. And then there were a few unanswered questions following last week's walk, such as why Google Maps changes the name of Hayden Clough partway down to Withens Clough. And that got me thinking, that got me looking, that got me investigating. And that and a few other things has resulted in me coming back today to do a follow-up walk. So this time, I'm not going down there, I'm not going into Hayden Clough at all. I am going that way, and I'll tell you more about it later on. So yeah, as mentioned, I will be heading off in that direction. But to get there, I need to go up the road just a short distance. There's a stile that I noticed last week when I was walking up the road. It's not marked on the map. And then there's a couple of features over here I want to check out as well. I want to investigate those before I head on up and continue with the rest of the itinerary for today's walk. I suspect that some of the terrain for today's walk, some of the walking conditions are going to be quite challenging. We've got stiles on either side of the road. They're not marked on the map. I'm heading this way. So I've just come over the stile. There's no discernible path. There's no paths marked on the map. You do have all this rubble. And there is exposed rubble over there. And then there's what looks like a ruin of some kind over there that I saw last week when I was walking up the road. So I do want to check those areas out. But I think there's definitely been quarrying going on here at some point. I have looked at the old maps, and I think I found something marked on the old maps, but it doesn't actually say what it is. It just shows the outline of something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a very old quarry, probably. Okay, so this is it. This is the ruins structure that I saw when I was walking up the road last week. I think I found it on one of the old maps, but it doesn't say what it is. It's not marked at all on the current Ordnance Survey map. It's way too big to be a cabin ruin. Looking at it, I'm guessing it's a sheepfold. So it seems to be in two parts. There is like a doorway between the two parts. This is the bigger part and the other part's the smaller part. I'm now stood inside the bigger part, the bigger section. The ground is very uneven and quite wet. This is the entranceway into the other section. which looks even more boggy. It looks like there may even have been a third section, but there's pretty much nothing left of that now. In front of me is Britland Edge Hill. That's not on the itinerary for today. Over there is Dewhill Naze. That is on the itinerary for today. I won't lie, I was hoping for some kind of trail. There doesn't seem to be one. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm on Dewhill Naze right now. This is immediately below, and I don't know how clear it is, but there are hillocks of ground just below me, and I can't figure out what that is. That could be landslips, it could be quarry workings, it could be earthworks from an old settlement. It's looking increasingly likely that this is the result of quarrying, but if it is quarrying, it must be from a very long time ago, as there's nothing to indicate that on the old maps, which isn't that unusual, to be fair. Right, I think what I'm going to do is come down and then go back on myself and check out that area of earthworks. Right, well, I just walked along the top and I came down, and I'm walking back now. Walking back on myself, but lower down to check out these earthworks. And hopefully I'll be able to speak to you a little bit once I get amongst these. Hopefully there'll be a bit of shelter from the wind. This rock has a very deliberate look and feel to it. Okay, I've got a bit of shelter now, so I want to tell you a little bit about today's walk, what the plans are, and why I'm doing it. So Dewhill Naze is something that I've been noticing a lot on recent walks. It's a very prominent feature in the landscape, and it's a place I've not been to before, and I don't think many people do come there. So I wanted to check it out. I've been thinking about going to it for a while. I couldn't quite work out what to do in terms of a walk, so it was just kind of on a back burner. And then after last week's walk in particular, a few things came together that got me looking at the maps, and as a result I figured out a plan for today. Part of the research for today's walk was to have a very quick look on YouTube to see who else has come here, and very few people have. There is one person who has though, and that's our very good friend, A Tramp in the Hills. Stephen, as part of his Peak 75, did 2 peaks around here. He went to Dewhill Naze Hill, which is down there, and then he came up to here. Right, I've turned back again now. Just wanted to have a look around. My guess is this was being quarried at some point long ago, although there may be more to it than that. So after last week's walk, you know, I was walking down Hayden Clough, and I mentioned that on Google Maps the name suddenly changes to Withens Clough. And when I was looking over this area, I found Withens Brook over here. So I do think that's a mistake on the Google Maps. That's not Withens Brook. That is Hayden Brook. Withens Brook is over here. So there's this area here that I've not walked. I've walked all around it. And when I looked in this area, I did see potentially a few points of interest. So today's walk is to visit those points of interest and see what we see. Again, it's an explore walk. I have done research, but there wasn't a great deal to find when I did the research. Not many people seem to come to this area. This has the feel of being something man-made, but I've no idea what. The far black Clough Trail, quite clearly visible in the distance. So my route today is just to really do a big loop around here, and then I suppose eventually come back up. There's as I say, there's a number of things that I've identified on the maps that I want to go check out. So last week I went down Hayden Clough, Hayden Brook, and Google Maps changed the name of the brook about halfway along from Hayden Brook to Withens Brook, causing some confusion online about what to call the waterfall, whether it's call it Hayden Waterfall or Withens Waterfall. Well, where I am right now, this here is West Withens Clough with West Withens Brook inside. It circles all the way around, and over there it simply becomes Withens Brook and Withens Clough. So this is the real Withens Clough. This is very random, in the middle of nowhere, no tracks coming here, nothing. Nice little shelter there. Right, so this is currently West Withens Clough, but it changes just to Withens Clough from this point here. There is a small trickle coming down from the moors, but it's very dry. There's no obvious flowing water at this point. It's just a bit boggy and marshy, that's all. But hopefully we will get some flowing water a bit further along. According to the map right in front of me, there should be something of interest. This is marked on the oldest maps and it's named, so we know exactly what this is. This is a sheepfold. Right, well, my plan now is just to follow Withens Clough down. There are more points of interest along the course of the clough, and then there's further points of interest when we're further down there. The ground here is really weird. I don't know what's happened to it. There's been a fire at some point, but it's incredibly uneven. You really need to look carefully about where you're going to put your foot with every step. You need to lift your foot up high. It's not really difficult walking, but it is, after a while, it does start to get quite tedious. Starting to get some proper flowing water on Withens Clough now. Right, this is more like it. The current Ordnance Survey map doesn't show any waterfalls along here, but you look at the old maps and they do show a waterfall. And I don't think we've reached that point yet. I just double checked. I'm pretty sure this is not the waterfall that's marked on the old maps. Look at the colour of that water. For some reason it's very brown here, very orangey brown. You can see just how much damage that fire did. We've got a proper brook now. So again, I still don't think this is the waterfall marked on the map. So hopefully the waterfall marked on the map will be a decent size. Very pretty spot, this one. I still don't think this is the waterfall marked on the old maps, but we're not far away. However, this one is very photogenic. Sun's trying to come out. It looks so much nicer with the sun shining. This might be the waterfall marked on the old maps. If it's not this one, then there must be another one very, very close by. Right, I'm guessing it's just there. I'm guessing that's the top. Here we go. This is clearly the waterfall marked on the old maps. This is a bit more like it, although it's not as big as the waterfall we saw on Hayden Clough last week. Okay, well, I was thinking of having my lunch here, but it's a bit exposed right here, and there's not really a suitable rock to sit on. But I know a good spot where I can have lunch, which will hopefully be sheltered, and there definitely will be rocks to sit on, and that's just a little bit further along. And this is something that's marked on yeah, I think it is marked on the contemporary map. It's certainly marked on the old maps and named. This lamb is making a lot of noise, I don't know why. But we're just down from the waterfall, and this is the next point of interest. Hopefully I can get a little bit of shelter from the winds there. That's an old sheepfold. There's the waterfall, this is the sheepfold. This clough here is cat clough. There's a few cat cloughs in the Peak District. We're quite intrigued as to why they're called cat clough. These lambs are very noisy. Anyway, I'm going to try and find somewhere amongst the old sheepfold to sit out the wind and have my lunch. Look at that, that's in really good condition still. Again, this sheepfold seems to have several sections to it. I just need to find the best spot to sit down and have my lunch, hopefully out of the wind, but I could do with something to sit on. The donut's got a bit squashed, unfortunately. This has been quite a nice lunch spot. A little bit in the wind, but it's not too bad. So I'm going to continue to follow Withens Brook down. I'm going to turn around the corner, and there's something else of interest around there. There are some really nice spots along here. I'm just coming up to another point of interest on this walk, something that's fascinated me for a while when I've been looking at the maps. This is Stone Low in front of me, and I've not been able to find out anything about it. So let's take a look. So I think this is it. It's not that clear from the map exactly where Stone Low is, and it's definitely not clear what it is. So low is a very common word that you get in place names in the Peak District, and it means the opposite of what you think it might mean. So it's actually from the Norse, and it means a high point, and it's often associated with ancient burial places, ancient burial grounds. And here we've got something. It doesn't look that ancient though, it looks more like quarry workings, but who knows. There is something else just along a little bit, I'll check that out. And then down, lower down, there is something, an area that's kind of cordoned off dry stone walling. It might be a sheepfold, it might be something else, I don't know, but we'll go down and have a look at that as well after we've looked up here. It's clearly something, but I've no idea what. It's definitely not ancient. It might be 100 years old or 200 years old, but no more than that. So that there is Dewhill Naze. That's where we were earlier. And this is intriguing, and that is also intriguing. I can see a bit of ruin, which I was pretty sure was going to be there because of the maps, but there seems to be a doorway or something, so we'll go and check that out in more detail in a few minutes. But first, this is incredible. Where I am right now does appear to be the highest point. So if there is an old burial site, it would be probably here. This would probably be it. And this is definitely something, I just can't tell what. Whatever this is, or whatever this was, it's probably not more than a couple of 100 years old, I would have thought. I have no idea what this place is, or was. It looks more like a quarry than anything else. But the name indicates it might be much, much older, either Bronze Age or Neolithic burial site. Of course, there's nothing to stop it being both of those things. And then you've got this. You've got this pretty big enclosed area, enclosed by dry stone wall, with a very small ruin in it, and this is on the oldest maps. Okay, so we come away from Stone Low into this enclosed bit of land surrounded by dry stone wall, and then you've got this ruin. Now, the chances are this is one of several things. It could be the ruin of a farm building, it could be a shepherd's hut, it could be a quarry worker's hut, it could be a shooting cabin. Now, of those things, it's unlikely to be a farm building, I would have thought. It's far too small. And it's all by itself, so it's got to be one of the others. It's got to be either a shooting cabin, a shepherd's hut, or something related to the quarries. It's the right size for a shooting cabin. I'm guessing very few people come here. So I think most likely it's either an old shooting cabin or it's to do with the quarry. Or possibly both, because I do know of at least one old quarry hut which was repurposed as a shooting cabin. But either way, I'm pretty sure no one comes here because there is no evidence whatsoever of anyone being here. No evidence of any fires, no litter, nothing. So what a mysterious and intriguing place Stonelow is. Possible quarry, possible ancient burial chamber, mysterious ruin. Fascinating. I really couldn't find out much about this place. If you've got any ideas, please put it in the comments. To head back that way. Just there is Withens Brook that I've been following along, and it goes that way, eventually flows into the reservoirs. Around that point there is where Hayden Brook joins it. And I think that's possibly where the confusion for Google Maps has come from. I don't know whether it's called Withens Clough once Hayden Brook has joined it. But I suspect this is where the confusion's come from. But where I was last week, and that waterfall, that is definitely Hayden Brook, Hayden Clough. Where I am today is Withens Brook, Withens Clough. The next side clough up is known as Kiln Clough, which is quite an interesting name. No idea whether you heard that. Interesting. I didn't know this was here. In theory, if I follow this wall, I should get to just below Dewhill Naze. So this is hard work as expected. The original plan was to follow the dry stone wall up, but there's this, which is probably just a sheep trod, but it's more or less taken me in the right direction, and it's so much easier to walk along something like this than to try and go across there. So I am just going to follow this for now. If it is a sheep trod, it'll probably just disappear anyway. So that faint track that I was following got up to this weird thing here where a little bit of the grassland has been fenced off for I've no idea what reason. There must be a reason for it, and then the track disappeared. So I am now back to this terrain here, and probably, unfortunately, this is probably what I'm going to be walking all the way back to the car. Walking through this is a complete nightmare. I don't know how clearly you can see just how big some of these are. Every single step you take, you need to be really careful, and it's just having to lift your leg up high, lift your foot up high. It's like 3 times as much effort as it should be. I'm back at the wall. And I don't really need to go up all the way to the top, because if I go all the way up to the top, I'm just going to have to come back down again. I could curve around, but either way, I don't think there's much in the way of footpaths. I've made it to right below Dewhill Naze, to the bottom of these old quarries or landslips or whatever they are, earthworks. This walk's left a little bit of a sting in its tail for the very final section. This is not easy going. And the stile, I just remember the stile is a little bit further up from the parking spot, so I have to go past the parking spot to try and find the stile. There's no paths or any trails or anything the other side of this side of the stile. So I've got things like this to contend with, but not far now. I can't actually see where the stile is, but it can't be far. Nearly at the ends now, at the stile. It's just a little short walk down the road to get back to the spot where I left the car. That was an enjoyable walk, not that far. I didn't know how long it was going to take me. Didn't take me quite as long as I thought. A lot of locations today that very few people seem to go to. Dewhill Naze, I only found a Tramp in the Hills video on YouTube. There might be others, but that's the only one I found. I didn't find anything for the other locations that I've been to today. Stone Low, or any of the waterfalls that I visited. It's been a really enjoyable walk. Lots of intriguing locations. If you do have any information about any of these places, then please let me know, because there's next to nothing that I could find out online about these locations, these spots. But it's been a good walk, an enjoyable walk. So it's just started raining. That's good timing, because I'm virtually back at the car. But if you enjoyed watching this, or even if you didn't, please click that subscribe button and support the channel, and I'll see you next time.